Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're going to be talking about dragging, and drag and drop is another big topic, like literally dragging something over from one thing to the other. You've probably seen it with uploading files. You've definitely seen it in different types of like product management tools. I would say Trello is a good example of being able to like drag and drop one card to the other, and that's kind of what I've created here. You have the designs for this as well, so you can come and take a look with me as to how I created these designs and how I broke them down. Same thing, I'm using a lot of auto layout because I love to make sure that my designs are as responsive as possible. Everything in here is set to auto layout as well, and I've done a pretty good job, I think, thus far, breaking down how I've been doing it. Like at the top, again, it's set to an auto layout with space in between. We have the different icon here, the text. You can do this any which way you like. But what I wanted to really showcase was how do I drag one card over to the next screen or the next column. And I will show you what I did and how I kind of prepared this file. And I'll go through every little step as to how to connect it. So let's jump right in. So as you can tell, I have a bunch of different screens here, and they all work together to kind of simulate this dragging and dropping experience. Now, when I think of something being clicked, when I pick it up, what happens is it starts to kind of look like this, where the card can be actually tilted. So if you notice, this was an auto layout container, but I had to remove it because if you do have it as an auto layout container, they will stack automatically. So this is just a regular frame. Now, we're not worried about responsiveness at all. We're just really focused on making sure that our designs are going to perform in the prototype the way we want them to. And this is more so for you to see how that interaction could play out. It's also for development to understand how that interaction plays out. And if you want to showcase some pretty cool interactions for your portfolio. So this type of stuff is really going to help you bring your designs to life. So drag and drop has always been a pretty hard thing to prototype in Figma. And here is how you're going to do it. So I'm going to run through these different states. So this is the state of when you pick it up. So what I've done here is just rotated it so people understand that this has been picked up, and I've added a little bit more of a drop shadow here. You can tell that there isn't really much of a drop shadow before. So definitely enhancing the feeling that it's picked up and there is something here like a physical thing, even though we are in the 2D digital realm. And then I have this background behind it just to showcase that this is where the card used to be. So you can see that background very briefly. And the way I made this background was I literally just created a fill. So it is its own frame again. You don't need to make this a frame. You could use a regular rectangle, totally up to you. But I made the fill a certain color, and then I did a dotted stroke. And the way to do that is just to click on these advanced options here. And you can actually set the style to dashed. It could be solid. Anything you like. So that is kind of how I created this little scenario. And from here, we're going to prototype the actual movement from one side to the other. So we're going to make sure that this actual card is going to move from, so it's a bug fix card, it's going to move from in progress to done, and done is also going to have this little dotted background like it's being placed there. So super nice. Just kind of going back because I did switch the rotation a bit. We just want to keep that in line with what we have, because remember with Smart Animate, it's going to pick up everything. And if you notice on my layers, they are named specifically to the type of card I'm moving. So this one in this instance is called card drag. So we don't want to name it card because all the other ones are named card, especially for our prototypes purposes. We just want to kind of distinguish between all of them as much as possible, at least. Okay, so as we move over, we are going to see that that is placed into here. So it kind of locks in. This is still kind of coming to a close and it's still in progress, and that's when it closes and it's done at the same time. So there are in total 5 screens, and realistically all you're doing here is you are actually just duplicating the same screen and making some, fine adjustments from screen to screen. So make sure that when you're doing these types of things, you're only showcasing 1 or 2 things that are actually being interacted with, and then focusing on larger interactions, maybe elsewhere. You want to kind of split this up so it's not too crazy when it comes to connecting them. But anyways, let's jump into actually prototyping this. So I'm going to click on that card and I'm going to click that plus button and drag it to the other screen. And on here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go and press mouse down. So that is going to be Smart Animate. We could leave it like that. I think that's totally fine. Right now I really want to get it to a good point, and then we can start fiddling around with the different types of values. And then we're going to do on drag. So that's perfect. So we're going to drag it over so we can actually start to see what this is going to look like. Let's press play. Okay, we're going to press R to restart it. So there's the click. Oh, and there we go. We've already started that whole sequence, and it's starting to look actually really nice, to be honest. I really like how it's kind of coming together. Just already, we're starting to see that little, movement between all the different states there. So let's take a look again. Okay, so we have a mouse down and then drag. Okay, I like that. Let's go back to our screen. And from here, all we're going to do is now the interaction is kind of out of our hands. So we are going to just do after delay, and we can drop that in. And this can be around like literally 1 millisecond because it's dropping in. So it could be very quick. And then from here, we can actually extend that to like maybe 200 milliseconds. And we're going to have to select after delay as well. So let's take a look at what is happening here. Okay, so perfect. Let's go back because that happened a little quickly. So we have the mouse down. Okay, so this is the problem here. Now we have the on drag on everything. So we're going to remove that for a second, and we're going to go back to our card and then use on drag. And that's why it was happening so quickly. So let's do that again. Okay, perfect. I like it. Let's see. So you can see as soon as I hover over this area, then this card can be placed. So you can actually start creating this dragging experience that looks pretty lifelike. And what we can do here is we can click on this card and go back, and on mouse up, we can create that. So perfect. So the problem with this is now it's not triggering the actual mouse up as soon as I start dragging it. So we can just do a mouse leave, and maybe that will work. Let's try it again. Okay, that's going to work for us as well. We can even attach another one. So we can go like that. And we can do on mouse up, same thing. So that way we have more ways to interact with this card. Boom. And that's basically how you create a pretty quick drag and drop interaction. And you can do that easily, not even with these columns. I know this is a little bit more complex because it looks like more of a real life scenario, but all you really need is to have one item on this side and a way for the final item, aka this item here, to be on this side, and the dragging motion literally just kind of pre-fills the animation. And that's how you create a drag and drop interaction within Figma.